Hey there, welcome back to this week's episode of Finance Fridays. I'm Lucas Ballahood with the Ballahood Group at Coldwell Banker RMR Real Estate. I'm joined by my trusted colleague with RBC, our mortgage specialist, Alexandra Job. Alex, what's happening in your world this week?
Ending up summer very quickly, and September is just around the corner here. Can't believe it. It's
Uh,
going by so fast.
I can't believe it, but we are all so close to going back to school. My oldest is starting school in September, so this is sort of a sad but exciting time in our household, and I'm sure many parents are super excited to get their kids back in school, and I'm sure
Exciting
I'll
in my
I'll feel
household.
that same motivation next year, I imagine. But that's where we're at. Labor Day's coming up here too, so I hope everybody
Mhm.
does have a safe long weekend. But Alex, I want to talk about a couple of things here related to sort of because interest rates and the finance world in terms of real estate is making headlines these days. Looks like we're going to see another rate increase in September from the Bank of Canada. So I've been thinking about some other ways that people can still buy and sell real estate, but try and do so at a lower interest rate than what we're likely going to see for the foreseeable future here.
Mhm.
So I want to talk a little bit about today what porting a mortgage is and
Yeah.
also what splitting rates are,
Yeah.
and what's involved with those two things. So,
Right.
is there some insight you can share with people?
Absolutely. I think that porting is so common, more common right now than ever, because we've got clients that are in existing contracts that have low rates. So when a client is porting their mortgage, essentially when they're buying a new home, they're transferring the terms of that mortgage, the interest rate from that property to the next. One a very important thing to note is that when you're porting your mortgage, you still need to qualify. And so many clients, I've had so many people say, well, I'm just porting my mortgage amount is staying the same, or my mortgage amount is reducing, I'm just porting it over. We still need to be okay with you as a borrower and the property as well. So you are in a full application process for that, and to ensure that we're okay to move your mortgage to another property. But yes, you are able to move your, and I'm speaking to RBC, of course. You can apply to port your mortgage to another property if you buy, which allow you to keep that low rate. However, if you are adding on additional funds when you're porting your mortgage, so let's say you've got a $300,000 mortgage, and to get into the next house, you're going to need an extra 200,000 and get up to a $500,000 mortgage to buy that bigger property. The 200,000 of additional funds would be at today's rates. And essentially you would either have, if you were in a home line plan, you would have a new mortgage segment. So keeping your existing 300 at its current rate and adding on 200 at today's rates. Or if it's a conventional mortgage, then we're simply blending it together for your remaining term. So if you had 2 years left, we would look at a 2-year term and blend the rates together. So that maybe sounds a little confusing. Leave the hard work to me, and I can go over blended rates.
But so again, like the advantages to porting the mortgages, you get to bring over the existing portion of mortgage you have with that same rate to the new property, but the
Right.
bank wants to make sure that both your credit standing and all those things, your income still
Of course.
support the loan, and again, the value of the house and all those things are supported with data.
That's
So the bank wants to see that information, make sure everything checks and balances
right.
before signing off on porting the mortgage to the new property.
Yes.
The second component to this is the fact that if you need a second or an additional funds, so as you said, you're moving up and you need a second or additional funds from that original mortgage, that you end up actually blending the old rate with the new rate at the new mortgage amount, and that's how you get how you arrive at the new payment structure.
Yes, correct. And this sort of leads me to the next topic because you were going to ask about splitting rates.
Mhm.
So we can split rates depending on the product that you're in. So if you're eligible to take a product like our home line plan, that allows you to actually have up to 5 different mortgage segments. So with that, if you're porting, or if you were in your existing property, let's use the example of porting. So you're moving to a new property, you need additional funds. We could essentially be splitting your mortgage. Let's say you've got a variable term. Most people don't want variable right now, but there are clients that say, hey, I want to keep that. I want to see if rates come down. So we're going to keep the one mortgage in a variable term. And maybe we just want to go into a 3-year fixed rate. That's essentially splitting your mortgage rates or diversifying your lending portfolio. And we can do
Mhm.
that here at RBC by offering different terms for the amount of borrowing that you have.
So you're not, I don't want to use the word stuck with, but you're not obligated to keep on with a variable, or like you don't have to all fixed or all
Yeah.
variable. You can have different segments and different
Yeah, or
types
you
of
could have a 1 year
segments.
and a 5 year term. So within your lending portfolio, you've got different terms maturing at different times. So it's quite interesting to look at. I find most people don't get over, too complicated with it. They usually have one or two only. I don't see many people have five different segments. But yeah, it's interesting. And I like to show those options to my clients anyways.
So essentially, Alex, what we're saying with a splitting rate, when interest rates are higher right now, you could see people with several segments in their split rate mortgage, three or four segments, maybe more, and they're trying to essentially manage the risk and the volatility of interest rates to time when rates might come back down again. So you could see
Yep,
someone with a, right, you say they have a variable portion for a couple of years, they've got a couple other fixed term portions that have different lengths of term applied to them. And then, let's say 4 years down the road, that segment, one segment's going to come up for renewal. They
exactly.
renew that segment, and which hopefully will be at a lower rate and all the way along, right?
So yeah, exactly. And we are seeing that there's people that already have that diversification in multiple mortgage segments within their home line plans. And some people are doing it moving forward. As you know, our 4 and 5 year fixed rates do offer a greater discount right now, but not everyone's kind of going, I don't want to lock in for that long. So there is a good way to say, okay, maybe I take a 2 year for some of the funds and we'll just put half of it on a 4 year term.
Right.
So
Yeah.
give,
So then,
give
so
themselves
that
some
you can
security.
capitalize in two
Yep.
years on rates coming down again. So you'll have a more favorable portion, right? Because right now you might pay a little bit more in a 2 year, but in 2 years, the rates will hopefully be in 2025 be more favorable compared to what that 4 year term rate was
Exactly.
and that kind of thing, right? So it's a different way that people can try and manage their and lower their interest obligations or
That's
interest
right.
interest rate as a whole between porting and using the good rates from a couple of years ago and from splitting the rates and trying to sort of time the market to a point, and having to
Got it.
just renew certain portions of your mortgage, not the whole thing all at once.
Luke, you're going to be a mortgage expert by the time we finish all these calls. You know
You
so
know
much
what?
now. It's great.
I'm no mortgage specialist. I'm no lawyer, so don't take any of this advice at face value. Certainly talk to the licensed professionals like you in this industry, but you got to dive into the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone, if homeowners and prospective homeowners, buyers, just look at the numbers and say, "Oh, I can't do that. It's too scary. I'll wait for rates to come down." Well, if everybody does that, then imagine when rates come down, what the demand is going to be for the home you want to buy, when you're just waiting for rates to come back down. Because if everybody does that, prices are going to skyrocket.
So what
There's
I
still
will
lots of
say,
activity happening. It's just people
exactly.
need to understand their options.
And run the numbers. So if you are a buyer thinking about jumping into the market, don't be intimidated. It's no obligation. Have a conversation with Luke about the value of your home, what you can expect to sell for, and how much equity is there, minus your expenses. We are going to run through those numbers with you. And then we're going to look at moving forward, if you were to buy for X, how much you'd have for down payment and what that carrying cost is going to be on the new property, whether that means diversifying, porting, adding on. We'll review it so that you can be comfortable before you get into the process of listing your house and going out there and looking at what's for sale. So that's always your first step.
Yeah, families are growing, our needs are constantly changing, so we have to understand what our options are whenever life throws a curveball at us,
Right.
and that's certainly important when it comes to making a solid, informed decision about your home. And I mean, and remember this, we've said this before, you date the rate, but you marry the property, right? You marry the
Yeah,
house.
I
So
like that one.
you got the house for the long term, but the interest rate part is temporary. Just like values in real estate, interest rates go up, they go down. It's constantly changing with what's happening in the economical side of things. But that's the way it works, and we've just got to get used to this environment we're in right now. I don't think homeowners should get used to or should expect that we'll see rates in the 3% again. I think we should be probably more comfortable in the 4 to 5, and maybe something in the fives as being more normal.
Getting used
This,
to this new normal. Yeah.
yeah, this is the new normal. So if you're concerned about rates, well, get used to it, folks. You've got to get used to working in this environment, and we're going to have to be creative and just get used to these these mechanisms or vehicles that are out there that allow us to make the numbers work. And we're not in a situation where interest rates are in the mid to high teens like they were in the late 80s, early 90s, folks. So
Don't talk to our parents.
let's not talk to our boomer parents out here that have experienced that firsthand. Certainly those who have some awesome experience and stories to share with us, but that's not the environment we're heading in right now. So with that, I think, what we're going to actually have here coming up. I've got some holidays. I'm going to be away for a little while, so Alex and I are going to pre-record some other episodes here, so we've got some content in the bank to keep sharing on some future episodes here as we get into September. So with that, folks, Alex, is there anything else that we need to add today before we jump into the next topic?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right.
Thanks
Well,
for having me.
well, thanks for joining us again. I like your blazer, and
Thank you.
we're going to have to be back into that solid fall weather soon. Pumpkin spice lattes and all that good seasonal stuff is just around the corner. So
Get my white in before Labor Day.
right. I'm bad with that. I'm not a fashion guru, as you can tell. But with that, folks, thanks so much for watching this video here. You'll find mine and Alex's contact information at the end here as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and we're happy to help answer any and all of your questions. So with that, thanks so much. Bye for now.